This is the book of Ezekiel, chapter 38, verse 1. And the word of the Lord came unto me, saying, Son of man, set thy face against Gog and the land of Magog, and the chief prince of Meshach and Tubal. Prophesy against him, Ezekiel 38 and 3. And say, Thus saith the Lord, Yahweh thy power, behold, I am against thee, O Gog, and the chief prince of Meshach and Tubal. Ezekiel 38 and 4. And I will return thee back and put hooks into thy claws. And I will bring thee forth in all the armies, horse and horsemen, and all of them clothed with all sorts of armor, even a great company in bucklers and shields, and all of them handling swords. Ezekiel 38 and 5. Persia, Ethiopia, and Libya with them, all of them, with shields and helmets. Ezekiel 38 and 6. Gomer and all his bands, the house of Togarmah of the north quarters, and all his bands, and many people with thee. Ezekiel 38 and 7. Be thou prepared and prepare for thyself, and all thy companies that are assembled unto thee, and be thou a guard unto them. Shalom. First and foremost, I'd like to give all praises, glory, and honor to Yahweh, Ba'ashem, Yahweh Shai, Ba'ashem, Wakar Double honors to the elders and apostles of Great Millstone, preaching this word truthfully and sincerely. And shalom to the Akim scattered through the four corners of the globe, preaching the word truthfully and sincerely. And shalom to the Akim that be like unto a speckled bird, preaching the word truthfully and sincerely. And this is a sit-down lesson, a quick one through the spirit, power, grace, and mercy of Yahweh Yahushua. For in the news, October 18, 2022 at 2:07 p.m. Central Standard Time on this Tuesday afternoon. And as you see, I brought out the Ezekiel 38 chapter through the first verse all the way through the seventh verse. And this reference to this news article right here that I'm about to bring out about two articles that I'm about to bring out. Salaki for the stuttering. But this is RT News from RT.com, and this was published Alternative News, World News, RT.com, October 17, 2022. And the highlight of this news article, they read for in the news on October 18, 2022, on this Tuesday, and it reads, Russia wants to destroy the West, the EU state top spy says. Moscow has designated NATO and Western nations as its enemies. CISIC intelligence chief Michael Kolkov has claimed. And it says Russia is a major threat to NATO and all the Western. The head of the Security Information Service, BIS, Michael Kolkov, told the nation's lawmaker last week. On Monday, his agent published an annual report naming China, Russia, and Iran as the nations involved in the intelligence observes activity targeting the CISIC Republic. Slovakia. Russia has branded us as the enemy, and Russia wants us to destroy its enemies, that is, NATO and the Western community. Caldwell told a panel of intelligence officials and experts host the CISIC preliminary last week. Moscow will use all the means and all the possibilities it has to achieve its goal, he claimed. He also said that the Russian activity threatens the EU actions of EU member states. How you going ahead and get through? You like that? Oh yeah, other something. Every time you go into that little shop, try to bash shit on the old version up. He had the little glasses on. She's like, what the fuck? Oh, Salakia. Salakia was talking to my brother. Sorry for the momentary pause. But continuing on with the reading. Kolakov, if I pronounce his name right, also said that the Russia activities threatened the united action of the EU member states against Russia itself. Right, and this is days after I believe Russia's allies, they doing like a military joint drill along with the NATO countries. They was preparing to do their NATO drills as well too. So, this is a build up of Ezekiel 38, Gog and Magog, which is the Russians, that bear symbol. They're getting prepared into that warlike mindset along with these other nations as well too. That's why you're seeing the increase of the nations are rising up against one another, and these increase of wars and rumors of wars. And it's going to lead into the Revelations 11 and 14 scripture. Second war was past, behold, the third war coming quickly. But continue on with the reading. I just want to add a few notes to that. Call also said that the Russian activities threatens the united actions of the EU member states against Russia itself, calling this one of the biggest risks the Western communities is facing when it's coming to Moscow. He believes Russia is seeking to convince the bloc citizens that the energy supplies are essential for Europe's well-being, and that the sanctions of Russia harm Western Europeans more than Russians. The annual report of 2021, when the BIS presented this week, also named Russia and China as a major security threat. It focus on Moscow alleged efforts to bolster the pro-Russian activities, extending its pool of pro-Russian journalists, and creating an alternative media content supposedly to push Russian propaganda. Beijing was also accused of attempting to exert influence of the Czech Republic to promote Chinese foreign policies to determine Czech national interests, particularly when it comes to relations with Taiwan. Both Russia and China were accused of state-sponsored cyber espionage activities in the Czech Republic of EU and NATO. Neither Moscow nor Beijing has so far commented on the Kremlin's statement, and the BIS report. Relations between Russia and Western nations are extremely strained due to the conflict between Moscow and Kyiv, in which U.S. and its allies in Europe and elsewhere has supported Ukraine with financial and military aid. The Czech Republic looks a tough stance against Russia in the start of the conflict by taking part in all Russian sanctions on Moscow, barring Russia from entering the country and becoming one of the few Western nations to send their Soviet-made battle tanks to Ukraine. So yeah, this is a rumor of war stirring up, as the top EU spy says, Russia wants to destroy the EU and the West and NATO combined, So that's a build up, another sign of build up of a rumor of war. You can read that in the book of Matthew's 24, the 24th chapter, the 6th verse. With the rumors of wars between the nations of different kingdoms is increasing more and more, especially on a everyday basis, if you hear these things in the news, And this is another news article from Turkey, because Turkey going to be involved in that war between Russia as well too. And I believe Ezekiel, in the book of Ezekiel, it was mentioned Gomer, because Gomer is the modern day Turks. They are part of Ezekiel as well too, the 6th or 7th verse, I believe. And it says, this right here goes to Joel 3 and 10. But in the meantime, I'm reading this article right now. This is another news article, and it's from RT.com of October 18th, 2022. RT.com, World Alternative News. And the highlight of this news article, and it reads, in the news for today on October 18th, 2022, and it reads, Turkey test fire secretly built ballistic missile, Bloomberg says. The short-range projectile reportedly flew over 500 kilometers, the farthest for any such weapon developed by Ankara. Turkey has reportedly developed a short-range ballistic missiles in secret and conducted a successful test launch. Just like India, they tested their missile launch successfully as of day before yesterday. I did a video on that as well too. You know, that goes into that Joel 3 and 10, let the weak say I am strong. And that's what we're seeing from these nations. And it says weapons over the Black Sea. I'm going to read it again. It says Turkey has reportedly developed a short-range ballistic missiles in secret and conducting a success test launch of the weapon over the Black Sea. On Tuesday, Bloomberg has reported, citing that two anonymous sources who were not authorized to comment on this matter. The outlet says that the missile was fired from a mobile platform station at an airport near the northeastern part of Rize, R-I-Z-E. The launch was conducted around 7 a.m. local time. The missile reportedly 561 kilometers in 458 seconds, striking a target off the coast of Sinai, the longest distance ever traveled by a Turkish-made missile, according to the Bloomberg source. Several videos claiming to show the launch of the missile has also been shared by Turkish media, who claimed that the rocket of the Typhoon was developed by Ankara-based weapons manufacturer and defense contractor Roketsan, which also applies Turkey Army with the J-600T Wilbur and Burrow ballistic missiles, which have a range of 150 plus and 280 plus kilometers respectively. And this is from Turkish news media outlet right here. From Twitter, it was showing the test of a ballistic missile built by Turkey. Is it gonna show the video? I think this is the actual video right here. range ballistic missile test from Turkey, was successful. So that was actual video footage right there showing it. And continuing on with the reading, it says how the Turkish Defense Industry Agency, a government established civil institute in charge of handling the defense industry, has refused to divulge any information about the project. However, it is believed that the Typhoon missile will be capable of striking targets both on land and at sea, and has a range of just under 1,000 kilometers, which is typically a short-range ballistic missiles. According to the Bloomberg sources, development of the Typhoon SRBM has been underway for several years. So yeah, that goes into that Joel 3:10 that I'm about to bring out. Let the weak say I'm strong. Of these nations creating their nuclear capability, enhancing their nuclear arsenal. And this is the book of Joel, chapter 3, verse 10 in the Holy Scriptures, and it reads, "Beat your plowshares and the swords and the pruning hooks into spears, and let the weak say I am strong." Right, because you're seeing the military strength of these nations. That's why you're seeing the increase of build-up of these nations doing these military drills, these exercise drills, these military simulation type attack drills on their adversaries and their enemies as well too. He's starting to see it increase more and more and more, And you got Yahweh Shemel Shai stirring up that warlike on these, having these nations to have that warlike mindset. And that's what you're seeing starting to increase, And I'm going to go back to drop back a verse. Joel 3:9, "Proclaim ye this amongst the Gentiles, prepare war, wake up the mighty man. Let all the men of war draw near and let them come up," right? Because Yahweh Shemel Shai is stirring these nations to be in that gearing up, preparing for war, and that's what we're seeing. Even though these nations say they just doing it for military exercise training, military joint base, Navy type drills or simulation type drills or firing off their missiles, they saying they just doing it for testing, and it's not aiming towards the other nations or their adversaries. They kind of say that, but it is certainly true that these nations are gearing up, preparing for war, and that's why I brought out Joel 3:9 throughout the whole year of 2020 and 2022. That's why you've been seeing a heightening increase of these nations are stirring up, for that war. They in that warlike mindset, That's why you've been seeing increasing training of these nations with their military advances. That's why it's going to build up more and more and more into that Revelations 11:14, So these things are definitely going to increase more and more and more. And I'm going to bring out the Matthews 24:6. And this is the book of Matthew, chapter 24:6. "And ye shall hear of wars and rumors of wars. See that you be not troubled, for all these things must come to pass, but the end is not yet." Right, because these prophecies are coming to pass, and it's increasing slowly but surely between the nations and kingdoms, and the rumors of wars heating up on an everyday basis. And this is Matthew 24:7. And the MOTB is going to come right along with the WW3, Matthew 24:7. "For nation shall rise against nation, and kingdom against kingdom, and there shall be famines and pestilence and earthquakes in diverse places." Right, you're going to see, like I mentioned before previously, mentioned again, you're going to have a continual increase of the nations rising up against one another on an economic base, warlike type base, and it can be in many different ways. These nations are going at it with each other, economic sense, political sense, agenda sense. It could be many different types, not just only just a all out, not just only a provoke or, straight war between the nations against one another. It could be in many different ways. And Yahweh Shem Shai is stirring up all these nations, and it's going to increase more and more and more now than ever as the days progresses on. Of these signals of increase of that Revelations 11:14, like I mentioned before, second woe was past, and behold, the third woe coming quick. So with that, I hope this lesson was edifying through the spirit, power, grace, and mercy of Yahweh Yahushua. And first and foremost, I'd like to give all praises, glory, and honor to Yahweh Ba'ashem, Yahushua, Ba'ashem, Makar double honors to the elders and apostles of great men, preaching his word truthfully and sincerely. And shalom to the Akim, that be like unto the speckled bird, preaching the word truthfully and sincerely. And shalom to the Akim, scattered through the four corners of the globe, preaching the word truthfully and sincerely. And until next time, I will say shalom and a ball.